It is no secret that discipline is vitally important if you are pursuing any kind of a long term objective. Without discipline, you're going to be stopping and starting and losing what little bit of momentum you build up. So, I want to talk to you today about what I believe is the most important motivating factor for remaining disciplined, for being your most disciplined self. And I think that once you catch on to this and you take it to heart, it's going to make you more disciplined and more determined pretty much forever for the rest of your life. Now, before we jump into the details, let me just tell you that I am Mark Johnson, the founder of Bounce Pep, bringing you a fit and flourishing future. And I am also the youngest son of Bill Johnson. I absolutely invite you to subscribe. Go ahead and do it now. Just click on that little button. There's something on screen somewhere. You click on that and you can subscribe. So go ahead and do that. And if you want to go to the www.bouncepep.com site, then you can also sign up for our email list, which is, if you scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, you'll see a sign up there. It's very simple. It just takes a minute or so, and we'd appreciate it. But most certainly, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I do appreciate it. And let's get started. When you come here to Japan, what you'll notice this immediately. If you do not know how to read Japanese or Chinese or anything like that, the first thing that you will feel when you hit Japan is that you are illiterate. And there's just no getting around the feeling. It just hits you like, I can't read anything that I see, right? You literally feel illiterate. And so when I was in college again, I decided, okay, I'm going to use this time wisely, and I'm going to study these Japanese characters every single day. And every single day, I would just write down the characters over and over and over and over again individually. I would just learn each one individually, and that was discipline. Okay, it was discipline that basically got me to do that. I had a specific objective. I knew that I was interested in maybe having a career in Japan, and I knew how important it was going to be for me to be able to read and write Japanese as well. Speaking is not enough. When you start talking about becoming a professional in another country, you need to be literate, right? And so that was a huge challenge because I didn't grow up in Japan, and I didn't come up under their educational system learning Japanese like native Japanese did. I was already, 20, I guess at the time I was maybe 21 or 22. So I was already a young grown man, starting from there. And I had to learn in a very short amount of time, but it was that discipline just kicked in. But what I want to talk to you today about, as it relates to discipline, is I think the most important motivating factor that can keep you disciplined in your life. There are a lot of factors that can motivate your discipline, but I think one is much more important than the others. So let's get into some of these. One motivating factor for discipline could be, let's say that you are part of some type of team. It could be literally like a team sport, or it could be maybe part of your vocation. Maybe you're part of a team at work or something, or you're building a team or whatever. And the dynamic is that everybody on the team is relying on everyone else to play their part. And so you have this sort of pressure, or you feel an obligation to stay disciplined because you know that other people are depending on you to perform. Like they need you to do what you do so that they can do what they do, and vice versa, right? So that's kind of an almost like an external motivating factor that can keep you disciplined. Now, another one that I'm sure that you are familiar with, because we all experience this from time to time, is fear. Fear can motivate you to be disciplined because basically you're afraid of some future outcome that will be devastating. And so you basically feel forced to do what needs to be done, even though you may not necessarily enjoy it, because the negative consequences will be too great. The simplest example of this would be like a serious health issue. Maybe you discover you have a heart problem, and then your doctor says, well, you need to make certain lifestyle changes, and they're drastic changes. You have to change your whole diet. You have to start working out, and doing all this other stuff, and maybe counting calories even. And so it's this whole new way of living that you have to adopt, but you're willing to do it and stay disciplined because you're so afraid of the negative consequences. Look, a lot of us love life and we want to live, right? And so fear can be another powerful motivating factor that can keep you disciplined. But again, that's not my favorite one. But wait a minute. Before I get ahead of myself, let's just consider what discipline is. I think we need to define what it is just for clarity's sake. So, we've all heard of commitment, and the key to understanding discipline is to understand that it's the same thing as commitment. In other words, commitment and discipline are two forms of the same thing. So, commitment is what you feel, and discipline is what you do. A more articulate way to say that would be that discipline is commitment in action. So if you think about this, think about someone who swears up and down that they're committed, swears up and down they're devoted to doing something, and you never see the follow through. You never really see them acting consistently. Well, what that does is it betrays a lack of commitment, because if discipline is commitment in action, then what it means is that the only way that you can demonstrate commitment is through action. And if you're not taking action that demonstrates your commitment, then you are not committed. It's just that simple. Very, 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 very simple to add two and two together and understand what we're talking about here. So, obviously, a huge part of discipline is consistency, meaning that you have to do something repeatedly. And then another huge part of discipline is the willingness to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it, or even when it's inconvenient. So this is the nature of discipline, is that if you love to do something and it doesn't really require any effort or getting around any kind of a mental block, and you're able to just get up and do it every day with no problem, and there's no internal resistance to it, that's not actually discipline. You see, to be disciplined requires that from time to time you don't want to do something. That's how you prove that you're disciplined, is because there are going to be days where you wake up and you're like, I'm ready to go after this, okay? And then on another day you wake up and you don't have that same motivation. You don't feel like, oh, I just can't wait to get started. And in fact, you find yourself looking for reasons to kind of postpone doing it, right? But it's the act of setting aside, your own inclination to procrastinate and just doing it anyway, that demonstrates discipline. Okay? So understand that you are a human being, and it's natural for you or anyone else that you know for that matter to not always feel like doing what you know needs to be done. I mean, there are a lot of things that I have to do that, quite frankly, I don't want to do them, but they need to be done. And so, I have to pick myself up just like you. We have to pick ourselves up and stay on top of it and do it even when we don't feel like it. That is the nature of discipline, okay? So the bases are loaded. I'm up to bat. I'm going to try to hit a home run. bring everybody home. All right. We're going to bring this discussion home. So, what is the most important motivating factor that can keep you disciplined forever? This is what you've been waiting for. It is something called your reputation with yourself. Now, we all know that when other people are watching us, we can tend to behave differently than when no one is around and no one sees or hears what we're doing. But it's those times when no one else is around, no one can see you, no one can hear you, no one has any idea what you are doing, that are most important when it comes to demonstrating discipline. Because if you can do what needs to be done consistently, and even when you don't feel like it, and even when it is inconvenient, if you can do that when no one is watching, no one is paying attention, then what it does is it builds up your sense of self-regard. Self-regard, some people call it self-esteem, but self-regard is so important. And your reputation with yourself is so important. And this is why I want you to build your reputation with yourself by being disciplined in those times when nobody else can see you. Nobody knows what you're doing, but you know when you've decided to just not do it. You know when you've decided to just procrastinate, to just push something down the line. And we're all human. We all do it sometimes, but it never makes you feel good, does it? I mean, you never really feel better about yourself when you're undisciplined. And so your reputation with yourself suffers when you're undisciplined. And this is the most powerful motivating factor, is your reputation with yourself. What do you do when nobody is watching you, when nobody's looking? Can you still stay on top of things? Can you still go in and do that really hard thing that needs to be done that maybe you don't feel like doing today? Okay. Don't do it for anybody else. Don't do it because anybody's depending on you. Do it to build your reputation with yourself. When you build your reputation with yourself, you know that you can rely on yourself. You know that you can trust in you, trust in yourself. Then it's going to make you a much more confident person. It's going to make you. It's going to do wonders for your self-esteem. A very simple example I'll give you. There are times when I'll go. I love to talk about working out. There are times when I go to work out, and it'll be 10:30, 11 at night when I show up at the gym. And there are times when I'm the only person in there, and I go in and I do a full workout. I mean, no shortcuts. I'm in there breathing hard and doing a little bit of groaning, moving that weight, and nobody, well, I know that technically they have security cameras, but you understand my point. I'm there alone. As far as I'm concerned, nobody's watching. Nobody knows what I'm doing, but I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing, and I know that I'm being disciplined. And that's what's most important. That's what motivates me more than anything else, is my reputation with myself. I recommend that you let that motivate you as well, because it's so powerful when you know that you can do what needs to be done when nobody else is watching. Okay. But that's the most important thing, is that All right. So that's my message for you. I want you to take this with you. I'll talk to you next time.